Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry.
I just sneaked out of Zoom.
Whatever we're on. You fired up. Okay, at 8:44, and entertain a motion where we come out of executive session where no action was taken.
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Sykes.
Yes.
Bigler.
Yes.
Bear.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Yes. And also, we need to take up case 23-3, $3,000 claim for a cremation.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Gross.
Yes.
Bear.
Yes.
Bigler.
Yes.
Sykes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, next up, review and approve payroll and vendor claims. Any questions?
Well, just that,
Any observations?
yeah, my observation is there's a couple of attorney claims again that are sizable. You know, they're probably saving them until they get a case done, but it sure bulges the monthly budget.
I
You
mean,
get a bill for 18,000 and another one for 26,000. In contrast, here's one for 8 and another one for 3. It would seem like they could balance that out better instead of. We've had that discussion before and brought it up in Senator Hughes.
yes, we've asked for cooperation and even asked the senators to look into what they can do to help us on this too, because it's a budget buster that we can't control. So,
And a checkbook buster. The way that funds flow for county government, it kind of, when they hit at the wrong time, it's hard to make it all work, but it's all part of it, I guess.
I guess we can continue to complain about it. It doesn't really do us a lot of good, but we'll continue to speak out against it and hope that we get some help on it.
Right.
Any other observations or comments? There is no additional claims. They are as they are presented.
Make a motion to approve the claims as presented.
Thank you, Jack.
Second.
Thank you, Stan. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Sykes.
Yes.
Bear.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Bigler.
Yes.
Yes. There are no funding transfers, although if you've seen the estimations, first property taxes are coming in now slowly, and we're in need of them because, as Daniel just stated, the way the fundings flow, checkbook's getting pretty low. So there may be next time transfers. We'll monitor that situation over the next couple of weeks, but right now we're good. Okay, next up is discuss an act on the interlocal agreement with York and Polk County. I believe we have it as a memorandum of understanding. And Tristan, you're going to speak to this again, I believe.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Tristan Perry, York County Diversion Coordinator. I don't remember if I emailed this out to you guys. I printed off copies of just kind of and this is a copy of our grant that is the one coming up. And so, yeah, last time we spoke about kind of adding an additional clause that lets the county kind of have that escape clause, if you want to call it that, where if there's writing or something that they want to free up getting out of the agreement, then they can. So that's, I believe, clause 11.
10. Do you have a
Yep.
copy?
I did, and then I handed it
Did
to
you
you.
need a copy? Is there an extra one?
There's an
there?
yeah.
I believe what you came up with was 10.
Yes.
And,
And Chris was able to kind of changed a couple things and made it a little more specific, so.
And I can assume that I was planning on asking you this, but the dates that are put in there, that so if the county's either one tries to get out of the agreement or wants to void the agreement, the date you have in there, if it's done before a certain date, then it will end that budget year, but if it's done after a certain date, it'll end the next budget year, I assume. And those dates are picked because that's when you are applying for the grant, because I know our application for the grant and our receiving of the grant is actually two separate times.
Correct.
Because typically we are applying at this point in time, but not actually, we don't receive till sometime in spring usually, right?
Right,
Okay.
we don't get that award until end of January, February sometime.
Okay.
And so, yeah, the application part of it was the big thing for us to make sure we had notice of what we needed to put in the grant and what Beach County was thinking at that point, hopefully. So.
Okay, all right. So that's the one thing that I seen. I mean, I don't see any reason that we're going to have to.
Right.
But it to me, it does seem like a fair amount of time that, you know, say we choose on January 2nd, something has fell apart, then we're actually tied into it, not just for that remainder of that budget year, but the whole budget year after that too, you know, which is a year and a half. That seems to be a little long for me, so can you explain, I mean, is it just because of the grant that you feel that way, or because we received the grant, we can't, I mean, that we're tied into it? Because it seems to me, when we apply for this grant, we still haven't received it, we still haven't, you know, set those funds in place, that we could wait just a little bit longer. I don't know, that time frame just seems long to me.
Gotcha.
I can speak to that if you'd like. I'm the one who drafted the clause.
Sure.
The idea behind that is that because of the applications being due prior to January 1, if on January 2 or January 30 or February 30, February 28 or whenever either county would decide to go out, then grant funds would have been at least applied for, if not approved or allocated by that time, and then the counties were to decide not to move forward anymore, the counties then would effectively be forfeiting that grant money. It would kill off the programs of both counties. So unless the commissioners here or up there or both were to decide to then leave the agreement and then make massive funding transfers from one, or reopen a budget in order to refund it, it would effectively kill off the program in both counties, and then individuals would lose their jobs.
We wouldn't have to reopen the budget because it wouldn't be till the next budget year anyway.
Right.
So there wouldn't be that. It would just be have to fund it in a different form, because if I'm hearing what you're saying, it's either all for one or none for either county then.
Right.
Because the grant is applied for as a dual county.
Right.
So if Polk County wanted out and we received that grant with both our names on it, you're saying that the grant would disappear for York County then also? York
So at that point, both counties would need to approve it. Presumably one county wanting out would not approve it, which would mean that the grant itself, the funds wouldn't be obligated to York
Null
or
and void.
Polk or both. It goes away.
Okay, all right.
So yeah, so that brings up so this is going forward. It won't be a applying for a Polk County grant and a York County grant. It's one joint.
Right. If you look at the grant I just gave out,
Okay, yep.
The lead county is York, and then the partnering counties is Polk, and so they're all financially together. It's kind of added all with the salaries and other program expenses and stuff. So it's all one application for both counties.
Right. And so a question I would have, I guess, should it not be, what is the chances that we would not get awarded? Like, so, okay, let's say we're all in this, we apply for it, but we don't get the grant, then, how do you, because I'm all for providing these services until it starts costing York County taxpayer money to provide services to Polk County.
Right.
And so that's where I'm, okay, we apply for it, we don't get the grant,
Mhm.
but we're in this termination period, and so we're tied into providing them services till till the next fiscal year. What are the chances on that?
Right.
Does
so-
that make sense?
Yeah, so
Okay.
with this initial one that is in front of you, the CD grant, I mean, the chances of not getting that are very, very slim because it's already allocated money towards each county. And so, I mean, pretty much if we're not, doing some crazy thing that's not within the boundaries of the grant and catch it, and then that would be a situation in which they'd be less likely to give out the grant, but that'd be me not doing my job
Right,
with
sure.
reporting finances.
You'd have to intentionally mess it up.
Yeah,
Sure.
it'd be pretty difficult to have them just say, no, we're not giving you the CD money.
Right.
Yeah.
Going off of what Daniel's asking there, then would it make sense that if this contract does tie us together for a certain amount of time frame, that if a grant wasn't awarded or if the grant fundings went down for some way, do we need to spell out the funding sources between the two counties, that it'll be split 50-50, or it'll be split somehow, in that respect, not just, because if it is under us,
Right.
how do we know what the funding source is? Because we know in some cases, some of the grants are a phasing out
Right.
of grants, and do we need to have something like that in here? Because we are talking about, especially if we get past the first of this year, we're talking about the 25-26 budget year now being involved with this memorandum of understanding.
We could certainly enter in an extra paragraph that would say if for whatever reason grant funding goes away, and the numbers that Tristan gets, the beautiful thing is they're allocated by county. And so we would be able to develop percentages based off of the amount allocated to York versus Polk, and we could just spell those out in an extra paragraph.
Okay.
I think maybe that would put a little bit more comfort into it for me.
Okay. What do you guys, any other comments?
Yeah, because like I said, I have no problem. As if there's grant money coming in and we're able to service a neighboring county, that's great. But the minute that it starts costing York County to service Polk County, that's when I have to say, boy, we gotta stop this. And so if there was something in there that should the grant go away, that would help me, I think.
And grants are generally to get something started, but then those funds do dry up, and then expect the county or the school district or whatever entity it is to continue that. We have to make that cognizant awareness of this is what we're gonna have to handle
Right.
down the road, possibly.
And with these grants, there is that initiative that's in legislation that kind of gives the crime commission that extra revolving yearly amount where our representatives are deciding that it is useful to put whatever amount they decide towards the juvenile and youth programs throughout the state. So I don't foresee it really dwindling much.
You never know.
And yet the data that Gary provided, Mr. Olson provided, should show us that this would be a good place to be investing money because it is gonna save us money, but up front, it costs. And where's that gonna come from?
I can add in that paragraph relatively easily. We've still got one more board meeting before the end of the year and before the grant is due.
All right, let's do the 20th.
I guess I would feel comfortable if you knew how you wanted to make the motion. We
Okay.
could just make the motion with that addition,
Mhm.
and we can take care of it if we want to take care of
Sure.
it now. And then they can just add in what we asked them
Yep.
to. And then Polk County, I'm not sure when they meet again, but.
Next week.
Next week, so then they could have it in there.
So
If you felt comfortable with that.
yeah, that's fine. We'll talk through here how we want to make this motion, but basically, I would just and help me out if you want to say, if we want to say that this is contingent on grant funding, or if we want to say that we want to add a paragraph in there that would specify grant funding go away, that there would be a funding share, maybe. Any thoughts on how to best word that?
I would suggest approve the memorandum of understanding with the addition of a paragraph spelling out obligations of the counties in the absence of grant funding.
Right.
And then that would give me maybe the leeway to get it drafted properly and get it back in front of decision makers.
Right. So did you?
That's really
It's
not,
on recording.
yeah.
Sure.
That's not giving,
I think we want something in there that it would say
in lieu of funding, the county shall share the cost for juvenile services based on a percentage basis of cases, or something to that effect, right?
A percentage basis of allocated grant funding, because we already have the number.
right. So we can draw up the percentage pretty easily. So Yeah.
That sounds better.
Yep.
That way
I
we
agree.
have something
yep.
that's Kelly is on recording.
Yes. So I would make a motion that we approve the memorandum of understanding for the joint juvenile program with Polk County, with the addition of a paragraph spelling out in lieu of grant funding, the funding sources would be shared on a percentage basis between the two counties.
Sounds good. Thank you, Daniel.
Second.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Brooks.
Yes.
Ziegler. Tyke.
Yes.
Barrett.
Yes.
Yes. The good thing is nobody's against it.
Awesome.
We just
Right.
got to figure out the proper way.
Right.
You know, it sounds like we'll come up with that.
Yeah, and then one last thing is, I thought that I had on the agenda to discuss an act on the grant, on signing the grant. Because it said juvenile diversion, I thought that was part of it.
Okay.
So it is
When is this due?
on the 20th.
20th. Okay. Because this is a grant, and because this is not anything that binds us at this point in time, give me the word for retro. No, we'll come up with the word. Okay, we'll handle that. And then we'll handle something at the next meeting. So,
Perfect.
all right,
Thank you, guys.
thank you. Okay, all right. Okay, it is a couple minutes past 9, and at 9 o'clock we did have discuss a provider change for internet phones. I think the IT committee, Daniel and Woody, have already been working on this, and you have somebody here to have some information for us, I believe.
Yeah, so kind of a discussion that's been going around with the tech team and our IT providers and some of the different offices is kind of are we positioned where we want to be when it comes to providers of our internet services and our phone services. And so over the last couple months, we've met with different providers and kind of looked at different directions of what we could do to have the best services in place. And through those discussions, we've kind of come up with a plan that moving our internet and phone lines here in the courthouse to Allo and splitting, or and then splitting off the 911 center and the sheriff's department and bringing in a secondary service from Unite. That would then, those two services would fail over against each other, so that we would have a true redundancy in that if one side of the courthouse went down, it would roll over to the other, and vice versa. And so in doing that, we brought in Marty to help us kind of take a look, and he's offered one of the biggest things is if we decide to take the leap on this project, we needed a way to manage this project. And Marty's been able to offer us project management services that, as we go through this discussion, I would definitely recommend that if we take this leap, we definitely employ those services. Do you have more you want to add there, Woody?
Well, just the frustration of how many times we're down, especially on the communication side, and then just the load of the court system through video conferencing and distribution of those things. By having the redundancy of the two vendors, we should not experience some of this outage that we have, and then people getting messages, well, the communication system's down. And so I think that's the biggest thing. But in looking at the numbers, it should save us money. And a lot of people, the tech community, Don and Marty and group, work hard to make this come about. It's not been a fly-by-night, we're going to make this decision and dump it on everybody. We'd really like everybody to buy in. It does need new phones, it needs to be connected to you. It also means getting things down into the secure room where there's fire suppression and just lack of potential disruption from somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, getting on the line and stuff. So it makes a lot of sense to me that we do it this way. And like you're saying, if we didn't have a project manager, then it would flow as well. And regardless, it all went Unite, went this way, and Allo went this way. And so it's not my fault, it's somebody else's fault. But I'm having Unite involved.
And so Woody brought up a point that, so phone, internet, and then the phone system. And so the proposal in front of you also includes moving to a hosted phone solution, which would put all county offices on the same phone system. And so not only the courthouse being on one, but aging, the roads, we would all be functioning on the same phone system, even though they're in separate buildings. And so that kind of helps bring everything into a united service, both from a maintenance standpoint and just from consistency across the board. I think Marty's here to kind of maybe tie what we've kind of tried to bumble through up with a bow.
Well, I'm Marty Walter with Central States Telecom. I live in Staplehurst, so I'm not too far away. I think you've explained the issues I've seen pretty eloquently. There's been a lot of downtime over the last 2 years, especially right now. You're pretty much all on Spectrum for your internet and voice, with some pieces going out to Windstream. Spectrum I don't see getting any better anytime soon. I just can't explain why, but the quality of service has gone downhill dramatically. since it was first put in here about 8 years ago. Windstream's prices are just going up. And so Allo came to the tech team with their proposal, and we brought in Unite Private Networks, so we have a secondary internet coming in. We can provide some redundancy and some security to keep the county up and running, especially on that 911 side. The numbers on these forms, I know I put a lot of numbers on
I was
this.
gonna say, can you walk us through
I will.
what's all in front of us?
They do not include any of the 911 center equipment. That's a separate item. So the first chart, that's your current cost without the 911 center for everything that's coming in. It's about $4,000 worth of services. We're looking at about $3,300, displacing about $3,300 of that $3,900 with replaced services. So that bottom number there. The proposed services, I broke it down by courthouse and by the communication center with all the services that they need. This would be everything from the non-emergency lines to alarms, fax machines, on both sides. There's quite a few lines involved to do that. And so you can see that Allo would be about $1,154 a month, and Unite roughly $1,118 a month. Those include estimated taxes, so it's hard to say exactly what those are going to be until, yes,
Does that include their recent raise in prices?
Yes.
Allo's?
yes.
I know it's 3 different sections here, the TV section, the internet section, and the phone section. And I can tell you as a member of Allo from the very beginning, I've had terrible TV service, and I have had my internet go out several times.
Right.
So they're not on the top of my list.
I understand that, and I understand it and sympathize, because I found at my office, we had the same issue. I will say their TV service, I would not put you on that, but it's only one television service. I spoke with Josh, and they're actually looking at a replacement for internet or television service in the jail.
Well, after paying their price for 4 months and not getting good service, I'm looking at going back to Dish. So,
Yeah, and I don't blame you on that. But the nice thing is we have a really good relationship with both Allo and Unite, where I talk daily with both companies, and I have numbers that most people don't have. So when things do go wrong, we get response pretty quick on that. We've seldom seen an outage more than a couple hours from either of these providers, if even that long. I will say I've never seen an outage with Unite. I've worked with Unite for probably 15 years. Allo's fairly new, and they're still experiencing growth pains.
they got nice commercials, but
They
they
have
don't
great
follow
commercials.
through with them.
So if you can find me a perfect communication company, I'd love to know who they are. 'Cause
Semaphore flags, they work better.
must be a Navy guy.
Yeah.
On the second page, this is the breakdown of the hosted phone solution, and I've worked a lot with the different departments, figuring out how many phones they have and what's needed. That really just breaks it down by numbers. Your monthly total service on that service after taxes is $2,715. With the county being a tax exempt organization, I'm sure there's some fudging of those numbers can happen. We just, until we submit the paperwork, we don't know. There are some one-time fees associated with that. We as a company are going to waive all installation charges. So that's about an $8,100 item, and we're able to secure free phones for the county as well for those, which is about a $20,000 savings. So you don't have to buy those.
So the all new phones throughout.
Yes.
Every place that has one now gets a brand new
Correct.
phone.
Correct. Most of the phones in the area are 8 years old, and they've replaced those models twice since it was put in, and eventually they will need to be replaced again. And it's one of my points is when replacing phones on a hosted solution, because hosted phone systems they use open source technology, the phones are cheaper. They're about $200. When you go with a PBX, like what we have here in the county now, after licensing a phone, they're about $495 a phone. So there's significant savings on adding and replacing phones down the way. Total monthly is gonna be right about $4,988 to do the phone, internet, and hosted solutions. So that's the total that we came up with for the prices, based upon everything that was given. And then there's a section on one-time fees. Allo is waiving their installation fee, and we're waiving our installation fee. So that keeps that cost conservative, low compared to what it would normally be. Just Danny will ask me a few questions. Some of the advantages of the hosted. Number one, it's 100% remote capable system. So anywhere you have internet or mobile data, you can use this phone service on. So let's say you have a power outage here in the building, power's out for 8 hours. Your phone system still operates in the cloud, so all voicemail, everything still happens. So as customers call, I call them customers because that's what they are to me, but as they call, they can still get to voicemail. If, let's say, the county clerk, they can have this on a laptop and working off of a hotspot. The phones can tie to a mobile hotspot. They can have a mobile data on their phone. So they can still continue to operate throughout the day during those outages. It's great for disaster responses. If there's something happening here, and emergency management needs to expand how many people can be on the phone, we can load an app onto the laptop quickly and expand how many people can be on the phone at the same time with emergency management. So a lot of flexibility you don't have now. We're not relying on the amount of phone lines that you have for the amount of calls that can come in and go out. It's unlimited phone calls, it's unlimited long distance. There's just not the limitations of the traditional phone systems now. And we're seeing that in the next 5 years, probably 95% of all business phone systems will be going down this road. Easy expansion, as we talked about. The free phones, expanded options such as auto attendant. The tech committee asked about having a menu system when people call in. They're saying the clerk's office is getting a lot of calls for the assessor's office and so on and so forth. And they're spending a lot of time getting calls back and forth. And we can try and help alleviate some of that. Call recording options. The sheriff's department has asked for some call recording options that they don't have now. On the current phone system, we would have to expand some other equipment, which would be pretty costly too. I don't have those, Leila would know those numbers. So, they're just some talking points.
One thing, walk me through, like we've had some technical difficulties with panic buttons at the ancillary outbuildings, whatever we want to call them, different, aging roads. So a system like this gives us some different capabilities with that. Is that correct?
So, as I understand now, inside the courthouse, if somebody knocks a handset off of a phone, after so much time, it will ring a phone over in the sheriff's department, over in the communications center, and they can see who that is. Or you've got panic buttons under the desk, but I understand those have been problematic as well. Aging partners, roads department, any of those outlying areas don't have that capability. So if somebody were to walk in, they have no easy way to make a contact in here without picking up a phone dialing 911, which is rather suspicious when somebody walks in with a threat. Here we can make it so they can knock their handset off as well. It will then contact that emergency phone in the communication center, and they get that notification that there's some kind of a problem going on. We can notify that by a caller ID or something to the screen. added security in that way as well.
So we won't be utilizing the panic buttons anymore. It'll
We
all be
could
through
be.
the
I
phone
mean,
system
right.
now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Or
it-
future phone system
Yeah.
possibly. Okay. And that, as we're looking through the list on page 2, that's everybody. I know that Jenny is here. Do we not supply the extension office? Do you have your own phone service up there, or do you know, Jenny?
We have, right now, we have a line item for phones, so we take right out of our phone, and it all comes from some place in
Okay.
We,
So-
that's our question, is that we would be included in this, because we are looking to try and replace our phone system in the next year.
We've talked in the past about that, but the challenge that we have is that they're on the state network,
Okay.
and the state does not allow this type of technology on their network. So it would make it a little tougher. We would have to get them a different internet source in and hook them up that way. Don could probably explain it better than I could.
Yeah, I talked to Tanya about, she's gonna put in the budget to actually go with an hour service up there at that location, and then get off the state. It's still off of the.
For the phones, they could do that, but they're,
Their whole office would go to a local network with an hour service instead of having the state's closed network.
okay. Yeah, that's the one that I seen that was missing here, so.
Right.
But then they would go with the same phone system if possible, so.
It's very simple to add to that.
So the additions and stuff like that is just not a big
Yeah,
problem.
no,
Okay.
not at all. It literally takes me 10 minutes to add in a phone, and they ship the phone directly to the site and plug it in.
Okay. So it's on today's agenda is discussed, we're not
Yep.
discussing that. But if it was adopted, I mean, this looks to me like a pretty good sized project. Implementation of this, how long would that take?
Let's see, Unite would be 90 to 120 days to get their fiber into the building.
Okay.
Allo is 30 to 45 days, and this solution could be anywhere from 15 to 45 days. More like closer to 45, just because of the scope of it.
So even coming into the time of year where we're coming into, I mean, we're still talking about those timeframes to get, I don't think ground's really frozen yet. I assume it'll be coming underground.
Yes.
And then that will all be going into the very north end of our building.
The Allo, we talked about coming into the cage downstairs. And the Unite Private into the communications server room. Just keep some separation in case there is an issue in part of the building. You don't jeopardize both services.
Okay.
That's part of some redundancy, and they will come in different parts of the building, so that if somebody's digging on the south lawn, they don't dig up that fiber, and they hit both of them.
Okay. And then as far as, it seems like we have been redundant, but that takes more than just a snap of a finger or a blink of an eye. Is this a system that will happen that way, or is it something that IT people have to come in and change to get it to roll over?
That would be Don and Tom, so you got Soren Group and Global Tech, and Don can probably speak to that, but the firewall should handle all that without an issue. It's not a matter of making a plug change, you actually, it's all there, and then firewalls are doing their business too.
And it's an upgrade to the firewall, so it's a smarter firewall, is that correct?
Correct. That's correct.
Which has been thought to be one of the pinch points in slowing us down, so by upgrading that makes a difference too.
Right.
Anytime we implement something, they usually, I mean, this is a different phone, how do I use that? Do you want to explain some of the staff development opportunities that are?
The basic way is there's about a dozen YouTube videos for training on the solution. So we send out a link with all those videos on it, but then we will also offer training sessions with the staff. Based upon however that works, we can set up down in the larger room with some phones, or we can go person to person. It really isn't. We're pretty open to how we do it. We prefer large group training because it's less time consuming. But yes, we offer a lot of different ways. They also have what we call Training Tuesdays, where the manufacturer offers a webinar. People can jump on those and get live training from them as well.
The other question I would have then would be the court system. You know, we just took over, we went through an agreement with the court system and they replaced all the equipment. It's ours now. So they're on our network, and this won't prohibit, it actually could enhance, what they're dealing with up there also.
Right.
Okay.
So that was one thing that I was going to mention on here. So currently, every computer in the courthouse right now is connected via Spectrum's 1 gig service. And so our proposal is for we'd still have a gig service for the communications and the sheriff, which control a large number of the amount of computers. And so we'd be splitting them off of what the court system, the assessor, the county attorney, et cetera, is touching. So they'd be on their own internet service, and then all those other offices in this courthouse would be touching the Allo service. And it's been recommended that we bring in a 500 meg service for all of those offices. And so by splitting off, so currently we're sharing a gig service through all of the computers. We split off around half, not quite, onto their own service. It's the general general feel that the 500 meg will serve those other offices just fine. Should we find that that's not the case, it's pretty easy to spin up more service if we find that there's a lag. But from doing different tests in the different offices, it feels that the 500 will service just fine. So to your point of having the court and will we have enough service and it won't hinder them, etc., we feel that this should be a good route.
If the 500 should be enough for the court system. I know that we've talked with the county attorney and the caseload and the case files. That should be plenty for,
Yep. And
all of them. That's 500 that we're sharing, or 500 at every point that's being plugged in or used.
It's share.
Share.
It's share.
but it shouldn't. Unless everybody was hitting it all at the same time, it shouldn't be a drag.
Right. I've seen larger installations where we've had 200 or 300 people on, and you might get 150 to 200 maybe.
Okay.
500 is really a very large number of internet.
I think we have Netflix blocked out, but if everybody was watching Netflix at the same time, it might drag it down.
I hope we have it blocked out. And is there a cost savings, obviously, to be on 5 versus 1 gig?
Yeah, it's about $200, $300 a month.
Okay.
And I just don't know if you need gigs
That
at
much.
this point. And,
Right.
And Don has the ability to look in the firewall and see what you're using. We can also get those numbers from the providers and say, what are you actually using?
Right.
And right now, 500 is their lowest amount that they offer businesses, so.
No. And to the point that was mentioned on the firewall, it would be proposed. Don's done some looking at what it would take to upgrade our firewall. It's not it's a number, but it's not a astronomical number.